In case you haven't heard, your boys behind Region Locked have been working on a book, and it's all about regional exclusive games. During the crowdfunding phase, you can get your copy of the book along with some exclusive Region Locked merch. So have a look at what's available today before you get Region Locked out of these early reward tiers.
Hello, and welcome to Region Locked. I'm your guest host, Nerd City, and today we're going to be talking about those counterfeit Nintendo consoles of the 1990s and the shady businessmen who made them.
The Family Computer System, or Famicom, was released in Japan in 1983. It landed in the American and European markets in 85 and 86. Often credited with revitalizing the home gaming industry in the United States, it found similar success in other countries as well, although in a different form. And by different form, I mean as bootlegs. In the early 1990s, a Taiwanese company called TXC created and sold the Micro Genius console, a clone of the NES. These counterfeit consoles were distributed and sold in various countries that Nintendo had not yet established a market. In partnership with a company called Steepler, TXC manufactured yet another Famiclone known as the Dendy for the Russian market. Prior to this console's release, there were very few video games for sale in Russia at all, with personal computers being a rarity. Viktor Savyuk, the man who would ultimately become responsible for popularizing stolen Nintendo IP throughout Russia, first heard about video game consoles while working for another technology firm called Paragraph. Savyuk says that he knew straight away home consoles had great potential. Following this, in the summer of 1992, Savyuk approached Steepler with his idea to steal the Nintendo. They responded positively, saying they had already considered stealing the Nintendo. So by September the same year, Victor was head of the division of video games within Steepler, though he was the only employee in the branch. His job was to source the products and prepare them for sale. However, no one at the company knew anything about the video game industry, apart from the fact that cloned hardware was being produced in China and Taiwan. With merely a chair, a laptop, a phone, and a fax machine with no desk, Savyuk began to reach out to companies with a plan to start selling consoles as soon as December 1992. Having never even played a video game console before, and certainly having never developed one of his own, he faxed designs to a number of companies in order to gather samples and choose a supplier. Going on erroneous information from a co-worker at Steepler that Russian televisions use PAL-1 color encoding, like the UK and other territories, a Chinese manufacturer sent over standard PAL-1 machines. Unfortunately, on Russian SEGA televisions, the picture would appear in black and white. However, taking this console to an experienced engineer allowed him to find out more about what he actually needed. Savyuk finally settled for TXC based on their build quality, their competitive prices, as well as the fact that they were one of the few companies that produce video games in the SEGA DK encoding most prevalent in Russia and Eastern Europe. The console released to weak sales, with SEGA being one of the main issues. The SEGA consoles were more expensive to produce, and as it turned out, the majority of customers that could afford the console would also tend to buy the newer Japanese televisions that had both SEGA and PAL support. This led to the Dendy only selling 2,000 to 3,000 units per month at the equivalent of roughly $100 each. It wasn't until 6 months later that Dendy Jr. was released, featuring the much cheaper PAL encoding. The new console went on sale in June of 1993, and sales immediately exploded, skyrocketing to 70,000 to 80,000 units sold per month, roughly 25 times more than its more expensive predecessor. By August, the company had made their first $1 million in a single month, without actually making anything of their own. A publishing house called Video Ace began production of the first video game-focused monthly magazine in August of 1993, Video Ace Dendy. The magazine focused on games being released into the Russian market and shamelessly used the famous SEGA and Nintendo characters in their imagery. The company struggled financially, and by the 6th issue had officially partnered with Steepler. At the start of the magazine's life, each issue only contained 24 pages. But after Steepler became involved, it was ultimately extended to a fully fledged magazine with 100 pages, including comic strips, rumors, gossip, and fan-centric content. The magazine's name was also eventually changed to Veliki Thrakon. I think I said that right.
PronounceNames.com.
Veliki Thrakon.
A smaller magazine took their moniker of Video Ace Dendy and was released alongside the original publication. After Great Dragon's 18th issue, Video Ace Dendy was cancelled after Steepler pulled its funding. Steepler began an extensive advertising campaign in 1993 to make more people aware of the Dendy brand. Television commercials were released in December during the build-up to Christmas, with a slogan roughly translating to Dendy, Dendy, we all love Dendy. Dendy, everyone plays. It's thought that Ivan Maximov, the Russian artist and animator who created the brand's mascot, Dendy the elephant, animated for these ads as well. In 1994, Dendy, the New Reality, produced by Sorek Video, aired on TV. The show filled a 30-minute time slot on the channel 2x2. The first season lasted 33 episodes. In 1995, the second season moved to another channel, OPT, and was produced by Class, gradually turning into a weekly clip show until its cancellation in 1996. The show was hosted by children's television personality Sergei Suponev, presenting the various pirated games that arrived on the Russian scene as if they were original, legal Dendy products, along with hints and tips for gameplay. If no new games were available, Sergei would just fill the time by talking to the general public about their thoughts on video games. In August 1994, Steepler made a joint venture with Income Bank to create Dendy as its own business. Later that same year, the newly formed company made a deal with Nintendo, giving the company the exclusive rights to sell Super Nintendo and its games in Russia. This contract extended to Dendy the New Reality, resulting in the show stopping all mention of anything involving SEGA. However, this only lasted a few months, and by January of 1995, all mentions of SEGA were back. The mass marketing of the Dendy in Russia had an unusual effect on the brand. People were not only referring to Dendy when talking about video games, it became the noun for video games. This became a problem, as often people couldn't distinguish an official Dendy console from the other bootleg consoles. As Steepler offered a 1-year warranty along with their Dendys, they began receiving numerous requests for returns and repairs from customers who'd actually purchased different bootleg brands. The Dendy did feature their own officially released games, though these themselves were bootlegs. There were also countless other bootleg cartridges in circulation from China and Taiwan. The only ways to differentiate between an official cart and another bootleg was the small cardboard sleeve games came in with a sticker on the back featuring the Dendy elephant and Steepler's phone number. As you would expect, these video game clones led to some pretty bizarre titles, like Somari, which is simply a Frankenstein Sonic game, but with the Sonic sprites replaced by Mario. An extremely fast plumber. Another is Mario 16, a clone of Joe and Mac, but featuring Mario. There are also a huge assortment of other fake sequels to licensed games, such as Top Gun 3, Tiny Toon Adventure 6, and Batman Returns 3. As well as terrible spelling and translations like Sky Destroter and Super Pac-Man. The game cartridges themselves were also often of very low quality when compared to official Nintendo carts side by side. The cartridges were prone to cracking and breaking. Not only this, but none of the game chips included a battery, meaning there was no possibility of keeping save files, which led to the console not featuring a single long-form RPG. There were also, of course, direct copies of NES games available, and often these would be included in the numerous multi-game cartridges, which boasted anywhere between 4 and 10 million different games. Though more often than not, these cartridges offered repeats of the same games amongst a slew of broken or unplayable ones. Some did include more than one actual NES title, meaning that, at times, the Russian consumers were buying several games at the fraction of the cost of just one single game in the West. By the middle of 1994, the Dendy console was selling over 100,000 consoles per month just 2 years after its inception, as well as having sold more than 1 million consoles already. Though Dendy consoles can still be purchased to this day, there's no link between them and the original Steepler product, as Steepler closed its doors in 1996. It's speculated that, ironically, it was the deal with Nintendo that was the cause of the company's eventual collapse, as the vastly more expensive official Nintendo consoles and cartridges meant the company was incapable of selling them for such a huge profit.
That's all for today.
And that's how it is on this beach of an earth. It's me, Luigi.
Come to Nerd City. Don't make me have done this for nothing.
Luigi.
Special thanks to Nerd City for coming on the show. Easily one of the best channels on YouTube right now, so definitely check them out. You should also check out Kinomania if you want more Dendy knowledge. The guy, there's so much Dendy on that channel, so check it out. And now, the Patreon bit.
Вот такие утиные приключения. Довольно разные игры, но их объединяет главным образом одно, что обе они 8-битные, а значит и цвет, и графика, и музыка соответствующие. Следующее письмо, которое у меня в руках, от Самитова Эдика, город Волгоград, 62. Ну, значит, просто город Волгоград. Вот что пишет Эдик. У меня есть приставка Dendy Junior, ну, я называю ее Junior, так более грамотно, и 8 картриджей для нее. О, 8 картриджей — это немало. Мне ее купили почти год назад. Я играю в Dendy на телевизоре Record VC381. Есть такой телевизор. Пожалуйста, скажите мне, почему у меня, когда я играю, изображение не цветное? Эдик, это ты целый год играешь в черно-белом изображении? Бедный парень. На самом деле, я думаю, что причин может быть несколько. Во-первых, может случиться так, что ты не очень правильно подсоединил к своему телевизору приставку, и цвет уходит. Сигнал от приставки Dendy не очень.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more video game trivia and more regionally exclusive games. And maybe some more exciting guests in the future.